ruddy house party on some tiny Scottish island," Dom fired back, bracing as another swell lifted the boat high before slamming it back down, "rather than at any one of their countless country houses paid for with others' blood and sweat." Oliver Longbridge said his manor on the island would be the perfect place for a house party, Finn pointed out. He barely blinked when sea spray dashed across his face, before calmly using a handkerchief to dry himself. One unfettered by the traditional rules and conduct of polite society, thanks to its removed location. "Besides," he added, when Dom would have complained again, "you decided to come to the party of your own volition. No one threatened the life of your favourite racehorse." "Except you and that cursed brother of yours kept wheedling me to go," Dom countered. With an exaggeratedly affected patrician accent, he drawled, "Do come to the party, Dom. It'll be ever so droll to escape the tedium of London, and promises to be such a jolly time. There's a chap." Finn laughed. "My God, if Kieran and I truly sound like that, you've my permission to tip me overboard." "That would mean moving from the safety of where I stand," Dom answered, "risking my life to end yours." There was no rancour in his words. Ever since Dom's father had made his fortune nearly 12 years ago through the leasing of dockside warehouses, the companionship of the Ransom brothers had been Dom's sole consolation as he'd navigated the treacherous, insular world of England's elite. Dom would sooner throw himself into the water than hurt his two closest friends. "I think I see the island," Tabitha Ransom said excitedly. She came to stand at her new husband's side, and Finn's arm immediately curved around her waist, holding her close. It was a gesture that was at once protective and adoring, just as the expression on Finn's face was protective and adoring. Though he was a man who seldom let anyone know what he was thinking or feeling, those barriers fell away whenever Tabitha was near. For her part, the scholarly Tabitha appeared equally smitten when in the presence of her husband. Dom's heart clenched. He didn't begrudge Finn his happiness, but it only reinforced just what Dom had lost and would never have for himself. And now that both Finn and Kieran had found themselves brides, Dom was left almost entirely on his own to prowl London after dark. Given the grim humour that had gripped him ever since jilting Willa, that meant that most mornings found Dom crawling home after either wearing himself out at the all-hours pugilism academy or trying to find consolation at the bottom of a tankard. Whether his sore head those mornings came from the punches he took from his sparring opponents or the vast amounts of alcohol he'd swallowed was anyone's guess. The boxing and drinking did the job of distracting him from the fact that he'd lost Willa, would never have her, and had to go through the rest of his cursed days corroded with guilt. Well, they used to distract him. More and more lately, there weren't enough sparring opponents or casks of ale to keep him from sinking into a mire of shame and rage. And that was the only reason why he'd accepted the Ransom brothers' invitation to join them at Oliver Longbridge's house party on this private island in the Hebrides, because anything had to be better than his existence now. There might not be a boxing ring, but he could always drain someone else's cellar. He might also sleep better in a different bed, because God knew he wasn't sleeping now. "It certainly appears the part of a wild, windswept retreat," Finn noted as the boat neared the island. He added warmly to Tabitha, "Looks as though it stepped from one of our favourite Gothic novels, love." "Will you prowl after me as I roam the corridors, holding my candle aloft as I wear nothing but my night rail?" his wife asked with a teasing, affectionate smile. Finn's eyes darkened. "I look forward to catching you." Dom kept his gaze trained on the island, growing larger with each moment, rather than watch the intimacy between Finn and Tabitha. From this distance, he could just start to make out details of Longbridge's private retreat. Rocky cliffs formed a border around a beach, and on one of those cliffs perched a 3-storey stone building with pointed roofs and even a crenellated tower. Behind the manor house stretched rugged terrain, velvet green in the early spring, and though the trees dotting the landscape were minimal, they formed little adornments here and there. "The island is beautiful," Tabitha said, gazing across the water. "Don't you think so, Dom?" "I suppose. Kieran's the poet, and likely he's got any number of pretty and ornate metaphors and similes to rattle off." But for someone who had spent the first 18 years of his life in the riverside Ratcliffe slum, wide open spaces like this island only created a seething uneasiness in his gut, as if there was nowhere to hide and no means of fighting. That's all it had to be.